Is it on?
Is this thing on?
Right, hang on. Where are we? What's going on? Hey there, creative minds and business enthusiasts. Welcome to Looks Like We Made It, the podcast where we dive deep into the dynamic world of video marketing, content creation, and all things creative. I'm Issy, your guide through this creative journey, wearing two hats, head of production and senior video editor. But I'm not in this alone. Meet the other half of our dynamic duo, my dad Chris, our director and the creative genius behind Howell Media and Howell Training. Together, we're not just a podcast, we're a father-daughter team on a mission to bring you insights, tips, and laughs from the heart of the creative industry. Whether you're a business looking to up your video game or a budding creative hungry for knowledge, this is the place to be. We've got real-life experiences, expert advice, and a sprinkle of anecdotes to keep things interesting. So if you're ready to unlock the power of video, bespoke content, and training to achieve amazing results, you're in the right spot. Fasten your seatbelts because this is Looks Like We Made It, where we turn creativity into success, one episode at a time.
Hello.
Oh, hello. Oh, right. We're back.
Do you know, every time you do that that intro, I think to myself, why don't you just pre-record it?
That is the pre-recording.
What?
I just did that so we could pre-record it. That will be the recording.
Oh, that's the pre-recording forever?
Yes.
Oh.
But I did it just now.
Oh, I've spoilt it.
No, that's why I held my hand up to make you not say anything.
Oh, I can't not say anything.
No, so we're back for season 5. So where did we go?
Well, we've been everywhere.
Yes, even abroad.
For a bit, yeah. A bit warm. A bit warm though, isn't it?
Well, I'll take it over the weather here.
I like it warm, not that warm.
Yeah, it was good though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was great.
Right.
Okay, season 5. Let's
Season
do it.
5. So, what are we talking about today? We are talking about, I answered my own question there. I'm getting back into the swing of it. We are talking about webinars.
Webinars.
It feels quite an old-fashioned term, but it's come back.
Is that like a seminar on the web?
Yes, that's the end of the podcast. Thank you for coming. Yes, it is. It's well, I don't know, because I find a seminar requires more. It's more like a conversation, isn't it? I feel like a webinar could be anything you want it to be. It's not just sort of an academic setting. It could be anything.
So what's the difference then between a webinar and like a big Zoom meeting?
I think what a webinar allows you to do is interact with your audience in a captive way that they have paid, or possibly not even paid, that they've expressed interest to want to be there. They sit down wherever they are in the world and they watch something where they can learn something new. So it's like it's an interactive session where people can come together and hear an expert say what they want to say.
Fantastic. So tell me, Issy.
I feel like you're in the host seat.
I'm
today.
in the host seat today.
Okay.
So just to kind of like, but full disclosure here, are Howell Training doing webinars?
It's funny you asked. Yes, we are.
Is this just a blatant plug?
You're the one who suggested this topic. Right. No, it's not. It's about it. It's
the benefit. That's all.
Yeah.
This business is solely about the benefit to our customers and our people.
Yes. I mean, the reason why I decided that Howell Training would run a webinar in the first place, because we have done training sessions, we being me, we've done training sessions in person for a very long time. And in that time, I've had a chance to meet loads of different people and go to lots of different places and talk about content creation in lots of different ways to different businesses with lots of different needs. But at the same time, that has limited me to just the people in the room, which is great. But I think a webinar allows me to talk about the important stuff, talk about the really useful information when it comes to content creation and doing it yourself to an audience that might not otherwise have the time or access to come to something in person.
And it means that your audience can be anywhere geographically?
Absolutely. And also knowing that it is obviously in the summer holidays, it being online where you can have the recording afterwards means that if you've got kids at home, if you're off work, if you're sat on a beach, you can still engage with it and keep the information afterwards.
Cool. So how many people would you expect to be on a regular webinar?
Hundreds and thousands. No, I expect it doesn't really matter. I mean, obviously, I don't want to be talking to myself. That would probably be problematic. But I think...
then you could, because you could record that.
Exactly. But I think if it's a live webinar, because remember, you can have as live webinars and obviously live recordings. Either way, I think that it doesn't really matter to me. I don't mind how many people are on there, as long as the people that are on there take something away from it and put what is being said into practice. So I'm taking a full confidence on camera course and I'm condensing it so it's it's like from concentrate. So it will be the recording, the information in there will be given in such a way where people can take time to digest it afterwards, but there'll be a lot in there.
So it's the Robinsons of webinars then.
it's the fruit shoot of webinars. No, it's a very kind of condensed version of the bigger courses that we do, but in a new and interactive way.
Fantastic. I think it sounds brilliant. So, and what is the key? What's going to be the key benefit to people coming on your webinars? And what webinars have you attended that you found real benefit from?
I think what people can expect from attending a webinar that we run is obviously fabulous production values to begin with. So
yeah, we're gonna have to actually have a tripod and everything, aren't we?
I know. Well, that's it. We're very lucky insofar as we can sort of internally apply our equipment and our skills in production to actually deliver a production about production almost. So it's very kind of paradoxical.
Was a bit matrixy, that was.
But we're very lucky in our business that we have that kind of equipment available to us. But obviously, if you want to do a webinar, anything like Zoom or Google Meet or even your webcam on your laptop is absolutely fine. So
when you do webinars, when you present and you host webinars, is it kind of like how interactive is it with your audience? Do you generally sort of present and then do a Q&A at the end, or do you just not do a Q&A, or do you allow people to kind of interject? What's your view on that?
I think every webinar is different. I personally don't like the idea of the interjecting element, because I think you end up going down rabbit holes. It's a bit rude, but I think it's about, if you were doing like an interjecting kind of thing, it becomes less of a kind of a controlled hosting environment, and then it just becomes a conversation, a group dynamic, which is fine, but actually people are there and they've paid possibly to listen to the information you're giving. It's basically like an intensive hour and a half or however long it may be, where people have paid to literally just get as much information out of that hour and a half as they can.
And how interactive is it going to be in terms of, like, will you be getting people on your webinars without this being just a blatant kind of
plug
for your webinars? But I mean, will you be getting them to do stuff as part of it? Would it be interactive, or do they just sit back and enjoy the show? How does it work?
Well, the audience will definitely have stuff to take away. Granted, it's only an hour and a half, so I feel like you're going to have to talk fast. I'm going to have to talk fast. I mean, this has prepared me for that very nicely. But in that respect, it's more going to be information heavy to begin with. But then in the same vein that all of our sessions in person they'll follow a very similar theme, which is starting off quite information heavy. But towards the end of it, it'll become more interactive. The audience will be able to have a go. There'll be challenges included in this, because it's about being confident on camera. Is the webinar we're running soon. There is an expectation that out of that, by the end of the session, they're going to be ready to challenge themselves in one way or another to make some content. I'm not going to force anyone to share anything or do anything that they don't want to do, but within that, there'll be quite a lot of information at the start, and then there'll be something to take away and like a workbook afterwards.
That sounds brilliant. Be really interesting how many people have their camera on the confidence on camera course, and also how mind-bendingly confident you're going to have to be. I know. You're going to have to be really confident, aren't you?
I know, and God, I'm going to have to dig deep for that one. No, I think I'll be all right.
Well, do the course.
Should I listen in? This is very sort of meta, isn't it? I think what see, I've toyed with different things when it comes to confidence on camera in particular, and that is that we've done it a lot. Like, we've had to make a lot of content for ourselves. We've had to, as a production company, we've had to practice what we preach quite a lot. Me and you are quite used to getting our faces on camera or in our voices in a microphone. And hopefully my experiences and our experiences as a business having to do that and really kind of throw ourselves out there, because we're not sort of like super duper extroverts.
Well,
we're sort of like, we're just normal people trying to find our way in the world.
Normal people.
But what I'm saying is that within that, I hope that I'm not going to go out there as like a kind of a classically trained actor with all these tips. These are genuine tips that I have as a business person in a small business doing my thing.
Authentic. That's what you are.
Thank you.
I think.
Thank you.
I think as well that as I'm fond of saying, that confidence is a skill, and like all skills, you've got to work hard at it. You've got to practice it, and the more effort you put in, the more reward you'll get. So confidence isn't something that, I mean, very few. There are some people who are naturally confident, but generally, in my experience, most people have got to work quite hard at that. And there's all sorts of tools at your disposal. About, what's the old one? Imagine your audience are naked, and which is interesting because who knows, they might be naked. But the point would be that there are all sorts of tools at your disposal about being confident, confidence. But I think that in reality, if you can train that and help people and help them focus, I think it'll have additional benefits in their business life and their life in general. Because I think if you do a confidence on camera course, by definition, it's going to make you a more confident person anyway in your life. Well, and the camera's just almost like an aside.
Well, I agree, and that's spot on, because I think that's why I'm quite interested I chose to run the confidence on camera course as a webinar as our sort of main focus, because a lot of people think, you could just do one that trains people how to use their phones, how to do this, how to do that. But our confidence on camera stuff, every time we mention the fact that we do training, it's the one people always go, oh my God, I need that the most. But it's the fact that people, if they're not confident on camera, often that it goes a lot deeper than just being camera shy. It almost like, I sometimes end up feeling a bit like a life coach, because you end up basically the camera, yes, it's a lens, but it's also a mirror, because you have to...
Wow, write that down.
But you have to almost effectively... It forces you, unfortunately, to confront and reflect on you, and a lot of people find that quite difficult. And it was actually my mum I was talking to recently, who said actually a lot of people who, when you look at it, people sort of in business from about maybe my age onwards, so late 20s onwards, really a lot of their lives, our lives, have not been spent on camera. A lot of people can go decades of their whole life with never actually having to speak into a camera or deliver a message on a camera. It was always trained actors, it was always trained TV presenters or radio presenters. And actually, suddenly, it's become an imperative skill for business out of literally in the past 10 years. And there's an expectation that you can just suddenly do it, and everyone gets it, and everyone's great, and everyone's really talented at it. But actually, there's almost generations of people in business that have never had to do that in the past.
I think that's a great observation.
And actually, really, it's okay to be nervous on camera. It's okay to not want to do it. And the whole point of the course and the whole point of the webinar is going to be about how it's okay. It's okay if you're nervous about being on camera. It's okay if you fluff your lines up. It's okay if you feel like you look at yourself on camera and you think, oh my God, I hate this, I hate that, I don't like my voice, I don't like this, and whatever, because that is completely normal, but there are skills and tips to overcome that. So that's kind of what it's all about.
That's an interesting observation. So are you saying that younger people are just more confident on camera because it's just part of their DNA?
It's just part of their lives.
Their lives.
Yeah.
And I mean, when I started, it was basically someone underneath a black cloth, and they'd pull a thing and there'd be a flash of light and you'd have to stand still for 4 minutes.
Yeah, really? I thought you'd be posing and someone would come in with an oil and canvas. And
or someone with like a piece of stone and a chisel. And that's how we used to get our
Oh, that was you on that cave.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
Yeah, no,
that's really fascinating.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I think that you can do with your confidence on camera course is you can take quite a lot to the table where, we've got a lot of experience of filming, particularly interviews of people who are very, very, outwardly very confident, very knowledgeable on their topic. And then, we've mentioned this in the past. The moment the camera starts rolling, they suddenly have an inability to speak. They can't even form a sentence. Yeah. And then the flip side to that is when you work with professional telly people or professional people from kind of the media background, they're kind of often not that buzzy. And then when you say, "Oh, camera rolling," suddenly they come alive and they deliver what they're meant to deliver faultlessly. They get it first time, second time, and you say "and cut." And then they go back to being just kind of a bit bumbly again. So we've learned both sides about how you can turn it on and turn it off, and about how you can deliver.
There are techniques that I will go into about confidence on camera, and techniques that I'll explore when it comes to how it's about your delivery as well. Because yes, I mean, it's not going to become one of those sort of like, I'm there to tell you how gorgeous you are all the time, because I think that I do that anyway. But I think it goes into deeper than that. Everyone thinks confidence on camera is being physically confident and looking your best and looking fantastic and glamorous all the time. But actually, it's a lot deeper than that. It's about how you deliver your message and confidence in delivering that message. It's not about feeling confident in your appearance and your voice and whatever, because at the end of the day, I can't change how you look. I'm not a stylist.
No,
but,
and ultimately as well is what you don't want to be is you don't want to be just someone reading something. Because again, that because you've got to be, that authentic word that we used earlier. In being confident is also about being kind of like believable and
absolutely.
And kind of like the people actually go, I've got confidence in you because what you're saying you believing.
It's in how it's delivered, and I think that the moment you practice that and get into that, it clicks and suddenly you get momentum, suddenly you start seeing those results. But the problem is that it's almost like a snake eating itself in a way, because if you the only way you can effectively practice that and learn it and get more confident is by doing it. And if you're too scared to do it, then you won't ever get that practice. And then the cycle relentlessly continues. But what we've had to do in our business is really force ourselves to get ourselves out there, to throw our faces out there. And our family as a whole doesn't really do that much. We're quite sort of private people, and I think actually we've had to kind of throw ourselves out into the world, and there are skills and stuff attached to that. Like, for example, even the podcast intro, I can read that now like without even flinching or taking a breath.
Well, you've read it now, you don't need to read it ever again.
Yeah, exactly. You seem annoyed by that, but I think within that though is that I couldn't just read that for the first time and just call it a day. Like, I think it takes practice and it takes time.
Yeah, I think you hit on something there as well, that like, we're talking about confidence on camera, but we're talking about confidence on camera in a business and work setting.
Yeah.
Or are we talking about confidence on camera in a kind of, like more broader than that? Because in a weird way, like you just touched on there, that I have quite a bit of a profile in business. I'm quite well known in kind of business circles, but outside of that, less so. And I don't tend to post too much about my kind of private life, frankly, because I do bugger all. But in reality, though, I don't, that part doesn't really appeal to me particularly. But I'm happy to share some of the interesting things that we do in this business. So, but I do think though that being business confident or being confident on camera in business, I think it does have an effect. And it does help you be more confident in your life in general. Yeah,
absolutely. Because you those skills, it's a bit like you can't put toothpaste back in the tube. You can't unlearn those skills almost. But it's like, I mean, to round off, because obviously I could do the whole webinar right now by accident.
Yeah,
but
people could save a couple of quid just listen to this.
But within that, I read Beth Rigby, who's the political journalist for Sky News, who I absolutely love. I think she's great. They did an interview with her following the recent election.
Was there an election?
There was. Can you believe it? And she talks about how she wears very bold colours, bright jewellery, bright lipstick, and she has obviously a very like dark fringe, and she's got quite a severe haircut and whatever. And when she first started, the news company said, we should have a conversation about how your hair looks. And she said, don't you ever mention my hair ever again. And also says that she wears the bright colours, the bright jewellery, the bright lipstick as armour. She says that's part of how she can, and it's almost like a costume she puts on, and then she can be that person. So there's lots of interesting things about how people gain that confidence away from their personal lives, and how they kind of almost segment that confidence, and then it might trickle in different ways from personal to professional. But yeah,
very interesting.
Yeah, well, I have to hang on to round off I have a question that I wanted to ask you to finish off, but I need to find it first. Right,
this is good radio.
Well, yeah, dead space. But right, okay.
You look very, very pleased with yourself.
Because I've asked you this one before, but I'm quite intrigued by it. If your friends were to give you an award, what would it be?
If my friends were to give me an award, you're assuming I've got any friends?
Yeah. If your imaginary friends, no, if your friends were going to give you an award, what would it be for?
Reliability and can it be two things?
Yeah.
Reliability and consistency.
And I was going to give you an award for the fact you make the best sausage rolls known to man. But also reliability is very important as well.
Reliability and sausage roll production. Well, the thing about my sausage rolls though is that as I only make them annually, each Christmas you kind of like everyone goes, oh, they're amazing, those sausage rolls, but I think it's their rareness that makes them amazing.
They're a headline act, but anyway. So you'd be reliable and consistent. I love it.
Because in a way, like I kind of don't beat around the bush, and insofar as I'll always, I'm not short of an opinion, as you know, but I'll give pretty much kind of consistent advice. And if I say I'm going to do something, I'll go and do it.
Love it. Right. Well, I think.
How about you?
Oh, I think mine would.
It's not sausage based.
It's not food based, but I do make a cracking hot pot. I think mine.
Hot pot? Who are you, Betty? Cora?
Hello. No, I think my award would be for I make, and people will testify to this, I make the best cup of tea known to man.
Oh, God, that's a bit.
And I'm also very professional and very good at what I do, but I make a very good cup of tea.
So tea and hot pots then?
Like a true Yorkshire woman.
I was going to say, so that's kind of leading, that's kind of like cutting edge media mogul British. Right there.
Yeah, okay, cool. So that was it really
Brilliant.
For today, and we'll be back every other Tuesday, and feel free to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Thank you, bye.
Bye.